The filter dry brush in Photoshop can be found in the filter menu and then down to filter gallery, and in filter gallery go to artistic and dry brush. So why would you want to use it? I think this filter is one of the most powerful filters. You can use it in countless ways to create some really beautiful painted imagery. Also, you can modify it in numerous ways. It's great for textures and much more. So I've got this initial one here, this image, obviously someone painting, and you can modify the brush size, you can modify the brush detail, and you can see here you've got the changes as it happens. It's a good preview which you can zoom in and zoom out, and then you can change the texture and also change it to the max. Now the max is 3 for the texture, but you can see the effect there. It creates a very interesting line ridge around all of this thing, a real great painter effect. Well, let's just click OK, and you can see the result of at least one application of that effect, and you can see it there. However, before I do any work, I generally like to create a duplicate of that layer. So over here I've got a layer, and then go to layer and duplicate, and I'm going to work with the duplicate. I'm not going to work with the background. So this one I'm just going to apply the effects again. So filter, and then go down again to filter gallery, and then in there you can modify all these settings. And I'm just going to go for the start. I'm going to push the texture down, and you can modify the brush detail and brush size. Now it's subtle changes between them, but I'm just going to go with 10, 3 and 1 and click OK. And you can see that initial result. Now what you can also do with all of the filters is now use the filter a couple more times, and that really creates some interesting designs. So filter and filter gallery, you can just apply it there or just go back to the filter gallery down here, but you can repeat with the settings, with the current settings. So filter gallery and filter gallery, maybe apply it multiple times like this, but you could of course use a shortcut as well. That's even better. But you can see the result. It really just sort of completely loses really much of the sharp detail of the image, and I think this really looks a great painter effect. And what you can do now, because you've got multiple layers, you could of course create 3 or 4 of these layers and blend them in different ways, apply different settings and different effects. Just go here to normal, and you can go to darken, multiply, color burn, and so on. You can run down and you can see then the result of, say, overlay to create a lot more of the original image can be seen, but you've also got that painter effect as well on top. And of course what you can also do is you can move the layer. So go to here to move tool, and you can just shift it around, maybe reposition it to create some interesting combinations, maybe duplicate the layer multiple times. So let's just undo. Now what you can also do, another great one, is to apply different effects as well. So one of them I like, this one is filter, and go down to stylize, and you've got find edges. Now find edges results in that, which can be useful. I think it's a great effect in itself, but what you can do is you can go at any time, edit, and then fade find edges, because I've got the edge, but I actually want still some of the image. So you can use these and go through these, try different things here, darken, maybe multiply it and so on. Maybe just go here, opacity, change that. But what I've got is the image, plus I've got now an edge around it. I'm not certain why they never have that feature within the actual filter itself, but click OK. So now what I can do is I can now apply again the dry brush. So filter, and then you can go here to filter gallery and you can apply that. But also what you can do, you can always go down to filter gallery, and in filter gallery now you can see you've got a lovely sharp edge around it as well, but it's still just nicely, like, looks like a painting, but at the same time you've got that edge, makes it a more cartoon-like effect. And you can modify these settings, so brush detail, put that up. Also, maybe let's just go for some texture now. So you can see you can push the texture up, and as you do that, you get a slightly more sort of coarse, I think, effect. I think it makes it just look a bit coarser. And then click OK, and you can see that. And again, exactly the same as before, you can go to filter, filter gallery, apply it a couple of times, maybe 10 times. Very quick, very easy just to apply it multiple times, and you will result in this very abstract effect, sort of like a posterization effect. I mean, you really reduced all the colours down. You've also made it like cut out. You've sort of reduced everything to very, very blobs all over the image. The faces, you can still make it out. Better still, you can always still go over here to layers and then just down here and maybe darken, or maybe go with colour burn and screen and so on. So you can see again, you can create some very interesting combinations of the image as well as that effect. And of course, at any point, because you've got duplicate, you can always delete the duplicate. So you can always go here and just delete it. And of course, at this point, you can then always go to layer and just duplicate it again and then continue again. So let's just go back to that filter again. So filter and down to filter gallery. And with that, you can also go here, reduce the brush size down, brush detail down, and then texture to the max. And then you see this really very unusual coarse effect around the edges. So you can see edges here all the way around. I think this creates a very, unusual image. So I'm just going to click OK. And you can see the result of that. But as exactly the same with all the other effects I've been showing, what you can do, you can always go to filter and filter gallery again. Filter gallery again, and you can see now you get this lovely white edge. Now I don't know, and I don't think it doesn't take that white edge from here. It's quite possible that you could change the colour. Quite a lot of the filter gallery ones actually use this colour or the background, so maybe that's possible. Haven't explored that. So filter gallery, you can apply it multiple times, and you can see you can create a very, very coarse image like that. Well, what you can also do now, you've got this, which I think's really a nice feature of Photoshop. You can always use selections. So select, and let's just go for color range. So I'm just going to go color range, and I want obviously this, the white. Let's just go for the white. So I'm just going to click there, and you can see then you get this. Click OK, and you've got quite an intense selection, which you can then edit and copy, and then edit and paste back again. Well, nothing's changed. You can see no effect whatsoever. But what you can do with that is you can go over here to layers, make certain you've got that layer selected, the one you've just copied back in, or pasted back in. And you can go down here, effects, click there, and this time bevel emboss. So bevel emboss, now you can see you get this lovely sort of three-dimensional depth to the effect as well. So you've got this sort of lovely, well, you can see it all the way around here, applied to the image, and then click OK. And of course you can tweak it in many other ways. You can change the profiles, all the various settings for the bevel, and of course you can use other options in that layer styles. And you can see once you've done that, you can blend them together. Again, exactly the same. You can go here, darken, multiply, and so on to see a slight variant of that effect. Okay, let's just remove this one, and I'm going to remove that one. And again, I'm just going to duplicate it. So let's just go layer and duplicate layer again. Because what you can also do is apply other effects like maybe a blur or oil paint. So oil paint's a really good one. So filter, and then go to stylize and oil paint. Now in oil paint, oops, actually this is weird. I've noticed that this, not certain it ever did that before, but anyway, it seems to be doing it now. In oil paint, you can set the stylization up to say 10 and 10. Let's just put that to 10. It's set to 9.7. Now I don't turn this on. I don't particularly like light in there. So I don't like to have that on. So I'm just going to click OK. And now you can see straight away you've applied this very smudgy sort of oil paint effect. And you can apply that a couple of times. So filter, oil paint. You can now go back to that other filter. So filter, and again, go down here to filter gallery, or just use the standard filter gallery up here. Perfectly reasonable. I'm going to go with this one. And you can see then you get this lovely sort of line effect around that. And again, click OK, get that sort of effect. And maybe apply it a couple of times. So filter gallery. Again, once you've applied it a couple of times, you notice it does create some sort of unusual breaks in that region, which I think gives it a fascinating texture, which you could use, of course, with other images that have got textures, because I'm applying it with this image, But it doesn't have to be with solely something like this. It could be applied with all kinds of images. So let's undo that. And now let's go to Filter and Filter Gallery. And this time, instead of the texture, let's just push that down. Maybe have it about 2 or something. Brush size. And you can see now I've got that. And that smudges it quite nicely. Plus, you can click OK and do it exactly the same. Filter, Filter Gallery, say 10 times, 5 times. And you can see as you do it, you get this very, very interesting sort of cutout effect, but with oil paint combined, sort of splattering with this colour here, and which you can, of course, boost up. I've been using it. A lot of these effects seem to sort of make it slightly duller, the image. I don't know why, but you can go to Image, Adjustments, and then maybe go here, down here to Vibrance. It's one I always love to just boost up the colours a bit again, so you can get slightly more intense there, and click OK. And again, you've still got over here, you've got this layer, and you can go to Darken, Multiply, and so on. So you can see you can create some really lovely sort of paint designs very quickly using this approach. But the best thing about this, and I'm just going to delete this one, is that you can also use this filter with smart filters. So you can turn it into a smart object, and it's non-destructive. You can take and remove at any point. So let's just go over here, layer with this. Let's just duplicate it. Actually, that's probably better. Layer, duplicate again, and click OK. And then again, layer, go there and smart objects and convert to smart objects. So the current image, current layer selected will be converted into a smart object. Then filters, go here to Filter Gallery. I'm just going to apply Filter Gallery very quickly. Just with this setting 10, 7 and 2, click OK. And you can see then it gets a smart filter here and Filter Gallery is added there. Now you've got this Filter Gallery here. You can duplicate it. With this layer selected, you can always go up to Filter and then Filter Gallery again. Apply it like that and click OK. And you'll see then you've got 2 entries. Well, what you can also do, and this doesn't always work, so I'm just going to suggest that it's possible. You can always go over here, hold down the Alt or Option key and select one of these filters here, the Filter Gallery, and just drag, and then you'll see a blue line and release. And it will create another one. And you can drag and you see a blue line and release. Now, sometimes that does not work. You will do it and suddenly, for some weird reason, you may have it slightly off center or something. It will not generate that duplicate of that effect. Most times it should work, but certainly trial and error, sometimes I found it doesn't. It sometimes just doesn't do it right at all. But you can see now you've got multiple entries here. And at any point, you can always go over here and you've got the blend in between them as well to create even more complex design. So just go over here, double click, and you'll see a little white layer. And then you can change the blend mode. And you can run through that, maybe go with darken. And of course, depending on the effect, depending on the various settings, the result will be obviously different. So let's just go, say, lighten, maybe go screen, and so on. You can see you can just change it. You can change any of them. They're all independent. You can also, if you want, at any point, combine another effect in. So filter and Gaussian blur, say. So Gaussian blur, you've got this blurring effect. Let's just change that. Click OK. And you can see the blurs at the top. You can then, of course, just move it down, reposition it, maybe there. And you can see the result will be different depending on the position in that smart filters list. Well, hope you found this of interest. Any questions about the dry brush? I think it's a really powerful filter, so please put some comments about this. Have you used the filter? It's one of those filters that's tucked away. You may see it, you think, interesting, apply it once. No, never going to use it again. But I think it can be used with type, it can be used with all kinds of textures, and it's really great for creating textures as well. So it's a powerful filter that's just tucked away in the filter gallery and probably, I think, maybe ignored, but one you should definitely check out. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Bye.